Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back once again. We trust that you had a great weekend. It is now time for our English Flash News edition, in which we have prepared a translated version of today's news for you in a language that you understand it. In today's news, the governing coalition of the Socialist Party and the Socialist Movement for Integration is going to have a new ally, the Party for Justice, Integrity and Unity, or PJIU. The formation of this new coalition was announced today after a meeting between Prime Minister Edi Rama and the leader of the PJIU, Shpetim Idrizi. The Prime Minister announced that the Socialist Party, the Socialist Movement for Integration, and the PJIU will put 61 candidates forward in the upcoming elections. He said, "We have just formalized an agreement to cooperate with the Party for Justice, Integrity and Unity. We will co-govern together with this party. We have discussed the first point of cooperation with them, which is the local elections of June 21st. We will come up with 61 candidates from our joint coalition. We have not discussed the names of the candidates yet or the offices that they will be running for, but there will not be any division between us. We will support the same candidate for any given office," said Prime Minister Rama. The head of the PJIU also spoke about the new agreement. "I think we will enjoy fruitful cooperation together," he said. "Our party's program has been supported by this government." The leaders of the parties did not speak about how the municipalities will be divided between them, but Ora News has learned that the PJIU will have 4 to 6 municipalities. The head of the Republican Party, Fatmir Mediu, has expressed his dissatisfaction with the Democratic Party. According to him, the Democrats have not gathered their allies together to discuss the local elections. He mentioned that the party he leads will be holding a meeting tomorrow. "I think the Democratic Party is making a mistake by not gathering its allies to discuss the local elections," he said. The Republican Party will have a meeting tomorrow with its chairman to determine the candidates for mayor and members of the city council. In an interview for Ora News, Mr. Mediu commented on the Republican candidate for Durrës. "Mr. Duka is a winning candidate for Durrës, according to the current polls," said Mediu. A few weeks ago, the chairman of the Republican Party announced that Mr. Agron Duka would be their candidate for the mayor of Durrës. At that time, he requested the help of the Democratic Party in supporting Mr. Duka. Just a few minutes after these statements by the Republican Party, the Democratic Party chairman did in fact issue an invitation to his party's allies to meet together and discuss the local elections. Basha has called this meeting on Wednesday at 5 o'clock. The first independent candidate for the mayor of Tirana has been announced. Running without the support of the parties, Mr. Bojaxhi has promised to turn Tirana into a dignified city. He said that he is aware of the difficulties of this challenge. He said, "There are no difficulties when a person is determined. I will begin a difficult challenge, the returning of Tirana to its citizens." He invited all those who are dissatisfied and disappointed by the current parties to support him instead. He promised more green space and a dignified city for all. He has already begun campaigning on the social networks, and he will be a guest tonight on our show, Tonight Il Vettore, to speak about his candidacy and his plans. Three months before the local elections on June 21st, the Coalition of Local Observers has published its first report. In the report, the coalition makes recommendations to the parties and draws their attention to potential delays in the preparations for the elections. The report says that despite cooperation that the political forces showed in the December resolution, there is still a lack of communication between the parties and a lack of the necessary consensus to approve legal changes. The report is positive about the completion of the CEC board, saying that it was delayed, but it is still a step in the right direction. The elections of June 21st are the first local government elections for Albania since receiving the EU candidate status. This is a defining moment for the country, and we should expect to see some important developments in politics. The man accused of being a hired killer in the case of Tom Doshi has admitted for the first time that he was part of a plan to blackmail the Assembly Speaker, Ilir Meta. The latest session for Durim Bami was held today in the High Court. Mr. Bami's lawyer asked the court to reconsider the security order for his client. He said, "My client is accused of perjury. The court has held different attitudes about this, but the Constitution says that the law is equal for all. Therefore, we ask that his security order be changed," said the lawyer. The court, however, did not change their order, choosing to leave Durim Bami in prison, where he has been since March 5th. As more details in the case of Mark Frroku continue to unfold, a report from the General Prosecutor has revealed the event that happened 16 years ago in Belgium. The incident in Belgium involved the stabbing of a man named Alexander Kurti on the 5th of March of 1999. Allegedly, the violent act was committed by 4 people, and Mark Frroku was among them. Mark Frroku is already under house arrest for his alleged perjury in the case of Tom Doshi. Now the prosecution is asking that he be arrested in connection with the Belgium incident as well. The brother of the victim from 1999 has attested to the Belgian authorities that Mark's brother, Arben Frroku, had paid $10,000 to have the man killed. According to the Belgian authorities, Mark Frroku was one of the men who actually carried out the deed, although he was using an alias at that time. According to the Belgian authorities, the crime appears to have been connected to an organization for human trafficking. According to the latest Instat report, Albania's exports have declined during the month of February, which is expected to have a tangible impact on the overall economic performance. The report shows that the exports in February amounted to 18 billion lek, dropping by 12.3% compared to the same month of 2014. This figure does, however, mark a 0.3% increase since January. According to the Statistical Institute, the category that has seen the greatest reduction is the subgroup minerals, fuels, and electricity. According to the experts, this has been influenced by the lower prices of minerals and oil in the world markets. Apparently, the floods have had an impact on the export of foods, which have only increased by 4.6%. The overall reduction of exports has increased the trade deficit this month, which is 21 billion lek, 10.9% higher than it was in February of 2014. The country's imports have been fairly steady, suffering a decrease of only 1.1% compared to February of last year. Albania's trade exchanges with EU countries currently make up 64.1% of all external trade. The primary trade partner is Italy, which holds 39.1% of the trade volume. Then comes China with 7.6%, Greece with 6.3%, and Germany with 5.6%. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes our news for this evening. We thank you very much for joining us. Please be with us again tomorrow when we return with more Albanian news in English. Thanks, and have a good night.